June 1944. German intelligence reports a massive Allied army gathering in southeast England. Over 150,000 troops, hundreds of tanks, dozens of landing craft, all commanded by General George Patton, the most aggressive American commander. The Germans know where the invasion is coming. Pas de Calais. It's obvious. That's where this massive army is pointing. So they reinforce Calais. They move divisions. They prepare for the assault, and they wait. The invasion never comes, because that army doesn't exist. The tanks are inflatable. The landing craft are painted plywood. The radio chatter is fake, and Patton is just playing a role. The entire thing is a deception, the greatest military deception in history, and it's run by a unit that shouldn't exist. Artists, designers, sound engineers, actors. 1,000 men armed with rubber tanks, speakers, and paintbrushes. They call themselves the Ghost Army. To understand how the Ghost Army worked, you need to understand the scale of the deception. This wasn't just about fooling a few scouts. This was about convincing German high command, their intelligence analysts, and their reconnaissance aircraft that an entire army existed where there was nothing. The Ghost Army was officially designated the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, 1,100 men. But on paper, to German intelligence, they looked like 30,000 men, 2 full divisions. Here's how they did it. First, inflatable equipment. The Ghost Army carried hundreds of inflatable tanks, trucks, artillery pieces, and aircraft. These weren't toy balloons. They were sophisticated rubber replicas that looked real from 200 meters away. From the air, through reconnaissance photos, they were indistinguishable from real equipment. Each inflatable tank weighed about 40 kilograms. 4 men could carry one. They could inflate it in 15 minutes using air compressors, and from above it looked exactly like a 30-ton Sherman tank. Second, visual deception. The Ghost Army had artists, real artists. Many were recruited from art schools. They painted fake shadows on the inflatables to match the sun angle. They added mud and wear marks to make them look used. They created fake unit patches, fake vehicle markings, fake road signs. Everything had to look authentic because German reconnaissance flew over constantly taking photos. Third, sonic deception. This is where it gets interesting. The Ghost Army recorded actual sounds of tanks, trucks, and troop movements. Then they played these recordings through massive speakers mounted on vehicles. At night, they would position these speakers near the front lines and play the sounds of an armored division moving into position. German listening posts would hear hundreds of tanks, but there was nothing there, just speakers in the dark. Fourth, radio deception. The Ghost Army had signal units that mimicked the radio traffic of real divisions. Fake orders, fake status reports, fake communications. German intelligence intercepted these transmissions and added them to their intelligence reports. On German maps, fake divisions appeared exactly where the Ghost Army wanted them. Fifth, special effects. The Ghost Army created entire fake headquarters, command tents, supply depots, field hospitals, all fake. They even had soldiers walk around in different unit patches, pretending to be from divisions that weren't there. If a German spy somehow got through, they would see an army, a fake army, but an army. So how did this ghost unit come to exist? The story starts in 1943. The Allies are planning the invasion of Europe. They know the Germans will be watching. Every troop movement, every supply shipment, every training exercise. German intelligence is good, really good. So the Allies need to hide their real plans and create fake ones. The British have experience with deception. They used fake tanks in North Africa to fool Rommel. It worked. The Americans are impressed. They decide to create their own deception unit, but they need people with unusual skills, not just soldiers. They need people who can think creatively, who can build things, who can solve problems that don't have military solutions. So they recruit from art schools, fashion designers, actors, set designers, sound engineers, radio operators. The unit forms in 1944. They're trained in deception techniques, camouflage, psychology. What makes something look real from a distance? How to manipulate perception. These aren't typical soldiers, but they're about to play a crucial role in winning the war. Their first major operation is Operation Fortitude, the deception plan for D-Day. This is the big one, the most important deception of the war. The Allies are going to land at Normandy, but they need the Germans to think they're landing at Calais. So they create a fake army, the 1st United States Army Group, FUSAG. and they put George Patton in command. Patton is perfect for this. The Germans respect him, fear him. They know he's aggressive and dangerous. If Patton is commanding an army in southeast England, that's where the invasion is coming. So Patton plays along. He gives speeches. He inspects fake units. He's photographed near inflatable tanks. German spies report back. Patton is in England with a massive force. The invasion is coming to Calais. Meanwhile, the Ghost Army is building the illusion. They set up fake camps across southeast England. Inflatable tanks lined up in fields, fake landing craft in harbors. They run radio nets 24 hours a day, simulating the communications of a real army. They drive trucks around at night with speakers playing engine sounds. German reconnaissance aircraft fly over and photograph everything, and they see exactly what the Allies want them to see. An invasion force preparing to cross at Calais. June 6, 1944, D-Day. The real invasion lands at Normandy. The Germans are caught off guard. They have forces at Calais, waiting for an invasion that never comes. Even after D-Day begins, German command hesitates. They think Normandy might be a diversion. They think the real invasion, Patton's invasion, is still coming to Calais. So they hold divisions in reserve. They don't commit everything to Normandy. That hesitation gives the Allies time to establish the beachhead, and it's partly because of the Ghost Army. The fake army that didn't exist convinced Hitler to make the wrong decision. But the Ghost Army's work isn't done. After D-Day, they move to France, and they run more operations. Over 20 deception operations in total, each one designed to make the Germans think Allied forces are somewhere they're not, to pull German divisions out of position, to create confusion. One operation, they simulate an entire division preparing to cross the Rhine River. They set up fake camps, inflate tanks, run radio nets. German reconnaissance reports a major crossing coming. The Germans reinforce that sector. Meanwhile, the real crossing happens 50 kilometers away with minimal resistance. The Ghost Army just pulled an entire German division out of position with rubber and radios. Another operation, they pretend to be the 2nd Armored Division. They drive into a town, inflate their equipment, and make a lot of noise. The townspeople see American tanks everywhere. Word spreads. German intelligence hears about it. They report the 2nd Armored is in that sector, but the real 2nd Armored is 100 kilometers away, preparing for an actual attack. When that attack comes, the Germans are surprised. They thought the 2nd Armored was somewhere else. The Ghost Army's operations are so convincing that sometimes they fool Allied forces. Real American units see the inflatables from a distance and report enemy tank concentrations. Friendly reconnaissance pilots photograph Ghost Army camps and report them as real units. The deception is that good. But it's also dangerous work. The Ghost Army operates close to the front lines, sometimes very close. They're setting up fake equipment within artillery range. If the Germans figure out what they're doing, they're dead. A unit of artists and designers with no real combat capability, sitting in range of German guns. Several Ghost Army soldiers are killed in action. Not in combat, but in German artillery strikes on their fake positions. There's a fascinating psychological element to this. The Ghost Army soldiers know they're not real combat troops. They're artists pretending to be soldiers. But they're also contributing to the war effort in a way no one else can. They're saving lives. Every German division they pull out of position means fewer casualties when the real attack comes. Every successful deception means Allied soldiers face weaker resistance. One Ghost Army soldier later describes it. We weren't fighters, but we were warriors in our own way. We fought with creativity instead of guns, and we won battles without firing a shot. The Ghost Army operates until the end of the war in Europe. May 1945. They've run over 20 major deception operations. They've simulated the presence of 40,000 troops across multiple campaigns. They've confused German intelligence repeatedly, and they've contributed to Allied success in ways that are hard to quantify but undeniably real. After the war, the Ghost Army is disbanded. The men go home, and they're told not to talk about what they did. It's classified, top secret. The deception techniques might be useful in future wars. So for decades, almost no one knows the Ghost Army existed. The men can't tell their families, can't tell their friends. They just go back to their lives and keep the secret. It's not until the 1990s that the story starts to come out. Documents are declassified. Veterans start talking. Rick Beyer, a filmmaker, makes a documentary. And suddenly people realize There was a unit of artists who helped win World War II by faking an army. The recognition comes late, very late. In 2024, 80 years after D-Day, the Ghost Army receives the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest civilian honors in the United States. Only a handful of Ghost Army veterans are still alive to receive it. But finally, their story is recognized. The fake army that saved real lives. Today, the Ghost Army's techniques are studied in military colleges. Deception is now a recognized part of military operations. Every major military has units that specialize in it, and they all trace their lineage back to the Ghost Army, to the artists and designers who proved that sometimes the best weapon isn't a gun, it's a rubber tank and a good story. There's something profound about the Ghost Army's success. They won battles without fighting. They defeated German divisions without firing a shot. They proved that in war, perception can be as important as reality. If the enemy thinks you have a tank division in one place, they'll act as if you do. It doesn't matter that the tanks are made of rubber. The effect is the same. The Ghost Army saved thousands of lives. Every German division they deceived, every reinforcement they pulled out of position, every delay they caused, it all added up. Soldiers who would have died in heavy fighting survived because the opposition was weaker. Battles that should have been bloody were easier, and a few men with art supplies and inflatable tanks made it happen. The Ghost Army, the fake army that fooled Hitler, the artists who became warriors, the unit that proved creativity can win wars. One of the strangest, most brilliant, and most successful military deceptions in history. A story that was hidden for 50 years. And a reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't the one that makes the loudest noise. It's the one the enemy never sees coming.